webinar. Now, this is, remember, thinking that you've already had, let me close, I wanted to keep this open, so I apologize because I want to show you something on this, but this is already with Evernote today. We're just focusing on how I use it with buyers. And this is an interactive session. I want to hear ideas from you guys because we all learn from each other. So this is not me telling what you to do. I do my business quite differently than other people do, but I want to give you ideas that maybe you can incorporate into yours. Now, this is, again, knowing that you've already done Evernote. So you already understand how to set up a notebook. You already know how to set up notes. So this is going to be, pretty hands-on with a day in the life of working with a buyer. And that's what I'm hoping that y'all are here for. And we'll stop every about 10 minutes every so, and then ask for questions. And then I will redo steps, do anything you need to. So I want to go over kind of the first thing when we're dealing with buyers. So I'm going to go like the day in the life of a buyer from start to kind of finish of how I use Evernote. Let's say hypothetically you get a buyer lead. So yesterday I got an email from a buyer. So I will pull up her email for you. And so you can kind of see this is what you guys deal with. I deal with it as well. And so she contacted me, and here's her contact information. So she was telling me quite a lot of information in her email. So again, guys, this is privacy. Please don't, divulge that. But so I copied. So I want to be able to remember that later. I don't want to have to search in my emails for it. So one of the ways when I get a prospect email like this from the very get-go before I start work with them, I just copy the email and then I go to Evernote. And so in Evernote, I just create a notebook for that new client's name. So it would be Ann D. Davis. So that way you can see that I have a point of reference. So anytime I'm talking to her, I can quickly just look in this notebook and see what the email was. So I don't have to go back through. So there you can see. And I'll name it like initial email. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but for me, I found I was losing emails because I have a lot of clients that will email me, respond to the same email over and over, but they will have different answers. So they were getting kind of stacked in my emails. So this way, it's a little bit easier for me to kind of keep a flow of work going. So again, just up to you. Now, when I got off the phone with her, we had a lot of, when I first got this email, let me put back up. When I first got this email, I went into Evernote, and I was actually on the road driving, and I had stopped and pulled over. So please know that. And so she wanted some information. So I went to Working with Buyer Notebook, and I went into here, and it said Introduction to Buying in Texas with Amy. So immediately I got the email, responded back, and I just copied and pasted this from Evernote, or you can just email it out from Evernote. So what I'm finding I use Evernote is for a lot of the things that I say over and over again. So here's a little video about me. She was very impressed with that. And one of the other things she was impressed with is as soon as I made the appointment, told her that I would call her. I said, what's the best time to call you? And I then sent her up a follow-up calendar invite. Now, I think I showed this last week, but does anybody want to see what I did? Because she's a corporate person. That was kind of almost the thing that took her to use me versus using somebody else. Does anybody want me to show you what I'm talking about on the calendar? Okay. So I'm going to mirror back to, give me just a second. I'm going to mirror back to my iPad. How many of you use Outlook? So Jane, Julie, what do you guys use? Outlook or Gmail? Outlook, okay. All right, so Jane, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Julie, what do you use? And Kim, I can't remember what you use. For some reason, I was thinking that you were a Gmail user, and if I'm wrong, please let me know. Okay, so Julie, you're on Gmail. Okay, so it's the same kind of concept. So in Outlook, now Jane, I'm on a Mac, so it's going to look a little bit different than what you may be used to on a PC. But what I did yesterday is I make a call date. So let's say I was going to call her tomorrow at, let's say hypothetically, call with Ann. And I'm going to put phone. And one of the things I do here, if it's going to be phone or Skype or FaceTime, I put whatever it is. Then I will put here, I do a reminder for myself, and then I hit invite, and then I put their email in. So I'm going to go ahead and put one of my fake emails in. And so then it notifies them on their Outlook calendar or their Gmail calendar, also their phone and an iPad. So one of the first things I ask every buyer is what kind of apps are you using? And what phone do you have? So do you have a Droid? Do you have an iPhone? So I kind of know how to talk to them. So this will then show up on their phone. Now for you, Julie, you just go into Google, you go to your calendar, and then again, you do the same concept. Yours is going to be a tad different, Julie, because the invite attendees will show up, and it just looks just that you're in a Google screen. But I do this on every appointment, whether it's with buyers, sellers. If I'm just having a conference call with an app developer, I use this all the time. So I know that went off topic with the Evernote webinar, but it kind of tells you how I work with a buyer kind of overall. So did that help anybody? Kim, same with you, your Gmail. So, and if Julie and Kim, if you want, I will do a screen capture of just how you guys can do it as well on the go for you guys. So if you want, I will screen capture and then I'll send it to you specifically individually on you guys. So they get that. They get the video of me right away. So there's a video I have online. So do you all have videos of yourself? So if you do like have an intro video, put it in Evernote. That way you don't have to dig and look for it in YouTube, so that you can quickly just go to Evernote. I stupidly kept everything in YouTube with my videos, but I was always constantly looking for, when I would get a lead, looking for my links to my video. So does anybody use videos to introduce yourself? No videos? All right, so if you want to do a quick video and you don't want it professional, and you can't do this in Evernote, but this is just a quick time saver idea, and this will go on to when I do a time saving webinar. I do an app called iJot or BombBomb. So let's say this client was really a specific client and I needed to just kind of do a quick intro video and it not be as professional, but I just wanted to reach out to her. I would have done iJot, and it's a quick 12-second video just going, hey, it was great talking to you today, and it embeds in their email. So if I don't use this, my pre-templated thing, then I will just do an iJot for you guys. So now I'm going to make this bigger here. So now not all of y'all are in Texas, but this, kind of gets you started for you guys. So if you want to take a photo of it on your phone, if you are on Evernote and you want to copy it and paste it into your Evernote and tweak it to your personal state, I'm totally fine with that. I don't mind. But the home buying process, I have a online magazine that is my buyer packet. I'm having it redone right now with my graphic designer, so hence why it would now come back here. I gave this client apps to download to work with me. Now, I don't say it that rudely, but I do kind of say, what apps are you using to search for homes? And so that way I know what they're looking at. So this is also, again, a quick thing. And you'll also notice I set the stage as I will be sending you a TimeBridge meeting notice to decide on what time we can meet to see homes, or to Skype, FaceTime, or Google Hangout once we get the pre-approval letter. So I've already set the stage that I'm working virtually, that we may meet, or you may just be with my showing agent, but this sets the stage for them. So what I have started doing, and this is a idea for you guys, is what I would walk away with now is, and I talked about it last week, is every time you're getting a buyer inquiry question, Maybe it's about the utility information. So here's one that I had that I'm selling some homes in this neighborhood, and I'm sending this over and over again. So instead of sending it over and over again and typing it all out, I just put it in Evernote, keep it there, and then I just copy and paste it over. So here's another one I get a lot of is I need temporary housing. Another one that you may get is when buyers are coming in to look before they get there is a little bit about the neighborhood. So maybe you do a let's say you sell in Plano, Texas, and then you would do little notes about the different schools with links to the different school districts and just have it and it's yours because nobody's going to the websites and digging for information if it's not readily available. They'll go look, but if they can't find it right away, they're going to text you or call you and say, I need this information. So before, the old ways, I would send it to them by paper or as a PDF attachment. Now this way is a lot easier because I can also text it to them as well. So just some ideas there. Now I'm going to take it over here for some questions. So number one, start with some just FAQs that you guys normally are getting on buyers. So like home warranty companies that they're always asking, utility companies, what happens before closing, what happens after such and such thing. So if you have those questions that you are normally answering, whether by email, phone, or text, go ahead and start making them. And I did a notebook called Working with Buyers. So that's kind of where all of my notes for any buyer, kind of a generic buyer would work. So questions on that part yet? So, how many have already actually made some notebooks or notes in their notebook about um, home warranty companies or anything? Have you guys already started doing that in the buyers? Anybody want to care to share what one they've done? Because I've only touched on a few, but you guys have other great ideas. Nope, you guys are being awful quiet. Okay. And this is your time that I want to make sure that you guys are getting your questions answered. All right. So, Jane, you're somewhat just beginning. So, if I can just kind of touch with Jane and give her ideas. Jane, what I started doing when I started working with buyers, I was only using it just to take notes when I worked with a buyer. But then I found out that I was wasting a lot of time because I was still recreating emails over and over again. So what I've now focused on telling people is start creating this templates of FAQs for yourself for buyers. Um, Again, anything that you're saying more than once a week or more than 2 or 3 times a month, make it a template and put it in notes in a notebook. So that I didn't do at first, and now I realize how important that was. It would have made my life a little bit more efficient for me. Julie, you use notebooks, but never with frequent questions. So, Julie, maybe that gives you some ideas about frequent questions that you could start using it, or did that help at all? So a good way to know on the frequent questions is to go back through your sent emails and see what are you answering over and over again with the last few buyers you've been working with. And that kind of helps as well for you guys. Okay, good. Perfect. Great. Thanks, Julie. So if you walk away and I will email you guys and go, how are y'all doing? Because I was kind of going to check on you. I find that real estate agents aren't accountable. So when I send the recording out, about a few days later, I'll just check, say, have you gotten some of your buyer templates set up? And I only do this is not to bug you and hound you, but I find we all get like bogged down with work and we never take those few minutes. So we've got the template set up to make our life easier when we have the introduction. Now we have gotten this new client that emailed us, and I'm sure we get a lot of these type of emails that come in that were referred to us. And so I have copied, and her name was Ann Davis, and I kind of did a play on her words. I copied and pasted over her email. So now it is time to call her, and whether it's a Skype call or a Google Hangout, I will go ahead and then get ready. So I'll have Evernote. This is all on my Mac. I'll show you how to do it on your iPad as well. So I find people are using Evernote, different places for different reasons. So I would just do a new note and I do initial phone call. And this is the normal things that you would put on a when you're talking to the buyer. Lender, typical things. What are they looking for? What do you know about the market right now? And these are actually things that, do any of y'all manage agents? This would be actually something, I have a list of questions that I tell new agents to kind of ask for buyers when they're not, these kind of questions. So these are kind of the typical questions we would ask. I wouldn't write it this way, but you could also use this if you are training a lot of buyers agents or you're on a team. This could be the checklist when they get the first initial screening of a phone call. And again, what are they looking for? Time frame, all of those kind of questions we are answering here for them. So that's the initial phone call. After that, what do we normally do with the phone call? We follow up with one way or the other. So I'm going to show you what I did with this one. And this is the real Anna. So these are my notes for myself. It can be open after 4 p.m. I kind of know her work schedule. I have showing agents that show for me. I do not, I rarely show because I'm a virtual agent. So I have agents that show and I do everything behind the scenes. So with this particular client, I wanted to make sure she was okay with that. And she was totally okay. So what I did is shared this notebook with my showing agent so that she knew kind of how we were going to organize everything and what she was looking for. So that way I don't have to be on the phone with my showing agent telling her all the things that I need to have her do that was important to Anna. I can just address those certain things. So questions there? No? Okay. Normally I get questions about the showing agents and how I handle that, and I'm more than happy to answer that question if you want. All right, no questions there? Perfect. Now, let's say Anna emails me. Now, guys, please know I do exactly what y'all do. I'm still the day in the life of. So, and I do ask that you respect my client's privacy. Most of them know that sometimes I will use them in a webinar situation. So she emailed me back today with, if you guys can see, these were houses that she's interested in. Well, I don't want to, again, keep searching through emails down the road when she calls me on the fly. I want to be able to quickly answer it. So I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to go back to Evernote. And in this note, I'm going to create a new note. And I'm going to say homes she likes on HAR. And these, again, homes that she found on my local real estate website. And so I have it all in here. So now what I'm doing is creating one notebook for Anna that has everything about her. So I don't have to go back and forth from Dropbox to emails. It's all in one place. Just like when you had the spiral notebooks that you had it, same concept there. Now, one other thing I'm going to do, and this is, you don't have to do this. This is just, some agents like to do this, so I'm going to pass this on to you. She sent me a pre-approval letter. So my pre-approval letter is sitting in Dropbox, in the cloud in Dropbox. But maybe I don't want to have to go search for it later when I'm out showing and or be able to find the lender's name and contact information, which I have found is kind of sometimes a nightmare. So I could do new note and I could do pre-approval letter. And then if you notice right here, this is the microphone. And I'll talk to you with that in just a second, how I use it. But here's, I'm going to go ahead and go attach that pre-approval letter into the notebook. So there's some more new things that are coming to the Evernote since I've been working with the developers. So kind of stay tuned with more Evernote sessions that I'm going to be having and advanced sessions, because you'll see that it's some cool things are going to be in the works. So I go to Anna's file. This is just normal, typical file management. And I double click on that. And now, if you'll notice on the left-hand side, home she likes, pre-approval, phone call, initial email. So I have everything kind of in a flow for me, and it's in one spot. And then because Evernote is cloud-based, it's going to be the same on my iPad. So questions there on that section. I'm going to ask for any. No. Julie, Jane, Kim, you guys, any questions? Normally I get questions about adding a document. So you're good. Perfect. Yay. All right. So this next step, all of this that I showed you can be done on your iPad, except attaching the pre-approval letter. It's coming soon, but not yet. So I tend to do my bulk of doing Evernote on my PC, just like I would write in my spiral notebook normally at my desk in the old days, and then I would take it out with me. And I wouldn't normally always write in it, but I had my documentation. So I use my Mac or my PC to create most of all of this information because it's faster for me. But again, use what works for you. So the next thing that I want to do, and I definitely have to do this on a PC, and until MLSs have app compatibility for the iPads, a lot of MLS vendors don't have that. So before I go out to show a house, let's say she wanted this house on Country Meadows. So I'm going to go into my MLS. And so this is pre going out to see with her. I am going to go into here and I'm going to come, and some of y'all know this is Fusion. And I'm going to type in Country Meadows. And I'm going to see if I can find that property. All right, so this is the property that she's interested in. And I want to take it with me, if you will. And I don't want to print it off. I want to take it with me. So I would definitely come in here and I would go to the print screen. So if you don't know how to print to PDF in your computers, let me know and I'll give you what you need to do. If you're on a Mac, it's pretty easy for you guys. So any questions on that? So I'm going to put this in Anna's. Naturally, I'm going to put in Anna's and Country Meadow. So now I take every house that we're going to go see, and you don't have to do it this way. It's kind of just depends on the way you run your business and your life. Okay. All right. So let me back up for just a second. If you're on a PC and you want to print to what's called print to PDF, there's a couple of printer drivers that you need to check. So number one, when you go to the print screen, like just go to normal print, there will be a drop down. So let me just go to file print so you can see what I'm talking about. When you go to print, normally it'll tell you all the different destinations. So if you have a PDF printer driver on there, it'll say something like cute PDF or PDF 995. So then you already have it. And instead of just clicking on one of the printers you would actually physically print to, you would hit this. And all you're doing is basically saving it. Now, if you're a PC user, it is the ones that you can download are cutepdf.com. I'm going to send these all out to you guys. PDF995.com. I use nitropdf.com on my PC because I can take and manipulate contracts, like take pages out of stuff that I'm not supposed to. Okay, so try whatever you need to as a PDF, but that's something, and Jane, if you need more help on that, let me know. All right, so Julie brings up a really good question. So when I get a new buyer, step one, and this is just the way I organize myself, it's not the way you have to. I immediately go into my Gmail or Outlook and create a file for them, okay? So if you'll see on my email, I'm in my email, you'll see on the left-hand side, I immediately create different files for them. This is my way of organizing. Second is I go into Dropbox with a buyer, Dropbox, and organize and create folder there. Okay. And again, this is going above and beyond Evernote, but I'm hopefully giving you some ideas, and I want this to be something that you walked away with and got some potential thoughts from. Um, and then the third thing I do is create an Evernote notebook for that buyer. So there's three things where I'm creating files. One of the things I talk about is I have an organizational class, as I talk about of how you can organize it after the process is over, but just an idea. So let's say this is the house she wants to see, and maybe we're only going to see one house. From here, I've already printed it to PDF. I've saved it onto my Dropbox, but I want it in Evernote. So I'm going to go back to Evernote. If you'll see, I'm back on Evernote screen, and I'm going to go New Note, and I'm going to say showings for September 26th. And in here, I'm going to attach that showing, that agent report. So again, notice I have a long running stream of all my kind of history talking with her. Another idea that I do here, and this is something you may want to do, again, totally up to you, is I do the agent report. And most of y'all have where you can get the archive, the history of the property as well. So I'm back in my MLS. And here's, it doesn't like me now, but you can always see the history of the property. So I print that and put that into Evernote. And then I also pull the tax records up as well. So that's all in there. So if they ask me, how long has it been on the market? What is the tax rate in here? Do you know what the square footage? Because unfortunately, sometimes the square footage in our MLS is different maybe than what's on the tax records. In my area, we have homestead. So it's something that I need to look on the tax records to see if that's going to be an issue with taxes when we go to close. So I bring all of that with me, but I do it all digitally. So are you guys okay with doing that? So all I did was take an agent report that you would normally have printed out, and I just attached it into their notebook. Again, you don't have to do this if you're not ready to go that far, but that's an idea for you. Would you guys care for me to show you something I did the other day that I've used Evernote in a way I've not used it? And it was not for a buyer, but it's a seller. Nobody else has seen me do this because I haven't. What I did is I had a agent who's one on my team, and because she's one of my agents on my brokerage team, and she got a very big lead. Was a little stressed about what questions were going to come up. Were they going to? It was $1 million plus lead, and she was, that's kind of always scary for people. So what I did to help her out as her broker is over here you'll see I told her to text me the name of the people they were going to be potentially buying one of her listings and then potentially listing with her. So I told her to text me their information, the phone number. So I went into the tax records, looked them up, and then what I did is I put all the contact in, and I said I researched them. They live down the street from these people. They are about my age. They listed. And so I kind of showed them, gave her some heads up. And then I gave her and then I should have Dropbox. So here's other things I did for her. I said, questions they may ask. So I got her all prepared to be ready for if they asked her a question. And then the last thing that you could do is, this is good training, or if you have somebody on your team that's a showing agent for you, comps. Now, she's not Evernote as savvy, so I did a lot of this in Dropbox, but I just came in here and I ran comps, and I put in here all the comps for her. So I shared this notebook with her. So she had everything in front of her on her iPad. I did the background research. I helped her out, trying to help her convert to get this kind of a buyer. So I don't know if that helped you guys as a different way, that I hadn't used it in a training tool just for, a showing assistant or an agent. So I just want to show you something that you could do if you are training other people. So let's say hypothetically, we are now out in the field with a buyer. So let's go ahead. I'm going to mirror me back to here. So let's see. Hopefully you guys can see my iPad. On my iPad, and I don't know if you guys know this, this here at the bottom is what's called the AirPlay. So I can AirPlay a buyer presentation from my iPad to their Mac, to their Apple TV. I can do it to an iPad. I didn't know if you guys knew that. So you can just swipe it down and then you take your finger and swipe back up and there it is. So these are called AirPlays. It's right here and it'll tell me different ones I can go to. So I didn't know if you guys were aware of that. I've used this quite a bit with buyers, and this is not the class for it, but I have a class of how I'm a mobile agent with buyers as well. So let's go. All right, so let's say we are headed out to go show property with Anna. So we want to pull up her notebook. So this is totally different screen. So, and if you haven't updated to the iOS 7, this may look a little different to you. This is the iOS 7. This is the new version on Evernote. They've made a lot of changes. I'm actually still learning some of the changes myself. So I ask that you bear with me. Again, I learn as I go, just like you guys do. But here are my notebooks. So my notebooks here looks a little different than my notebooks on the Evernote.com or Evernote app. So on my Mac. So here's my notebooks. So I want to go out to show. So I'm going to go to notebooks and I'm going to find Anna and I want to make sure that everything got synced before I left the house or left a Wi-Fi connection. Because if you do not have cell data plan on your iPad and you have just typed this in on your laptop and you don't sync your iPad before you leave, this is not going to work. So I just wanted you guys to know that. Questions there? That's where I normally get some questions as well. So let me look for questions. Nope, no questions? All right. So now, again, this screen looks different, but this is I'm doing for my iPad. So this is when I'm out in the field. So I have the pre-approval letter. I have home she likes. I have the phone call. And I guess we added that on this one. Okay, so I thought I had added that in. It just must have not synced yet, so we'll sync it in just a sec. So with this being said, you'll notice I'm missing the property. So I just want to make sure everything's been synced. Okay. It'll sometimes take just a few minutes to come in. So that's why I tell you do it before you leave the house. All right. Now, I want to go out and show her properties. So let's say I'm at the house or the first house that I want to see. So I want to make notes. So how I go through houses, I go up here to where it's the plus sign and I hit plus, and I'm definitely going to hit OK. And I'm going to put on here note showing notes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is make notes. This sounds strange, but just hear me out what I do. So the old way is I used to handwrite on the showing reports, and then I'd have to get back to the office, the feedback, and then go input it into a computerized system so that the listing agents got feedback. Now I do it differently. So I just do 30 country meadow, looks yucky. Oops. I guess I could spell a little bit better. Looks yucky. Needs updating. Nice location. So when I get the emails, and I don't know how y'all have for your showing service, but while I'm out showing houses all day, I'm getting follow-up emails about for feedback. So all I do is go into Evernote. I come in here and I copy it and and then I go back to my email with the question of, did you like the house? And I reply and paste. Or go back to their website. So I wanted to show you guys kind of different things, how I use that with Evernote, because that way I'm not duplicating my steps. Here's another thing I do with Evernote when I'm out showing. So, and this is something that has saved my bacon a couple of times. One was a washer and dryer that just recently happened. And the seller swapped out the washer and dryer, and it was not the washer and dryer that my clients remembered. So I had it in Evernote because I took a photo. So what I did, save draft, is I started a new note, and these were questions that I was going to ask the listing agent. So when you're out and you're having your buyers ask all these questions, so I'll say questions on Country Meadow, and time frame for sellers. The are the master drapes staying? So you're writing this as you're going through the house with your client, so you're not having to, and I'm sending off right then and there, so I'm not having to remember, oh gosh, I gotta ask that agent that. It's all done. And washer, dryer, stain. And again, you don't have to do this, but this one saved my bacon. So in Evernote, let me pull this one up, back up. Oh, wow, they changed where it's at now. All right. I apologize, guys. They've changed this, and I'm just double checking. It used to be at the bottom of the screen that I could just add photo. All right, that just got changed. So here we go. They've moved the screen. So I would say take a photo of the washer dryer, and then just a second. Come on. So we decided to use that. Rotate it. Wow. Okay, I have now got a note for Evernote that they have got to fix. Sorry, guys. I just found a huge problem. So that's not going to work. So I will record just the new version of the notes, because what was cool for me personally is when I'm showing them, I could actually take a photo with it and save it inside the note. Now they've taken it outside the note, so it looks a little different. So I will get with them and see, because that's a little bit of a flaw. And you'll see down here it says to type a quick note. What they're trying to do is use that as a shortcut for you guys. And yeah, wow. I apologize, guys. I thought that was going to be, so I will let you guys know. All right. So another way I used to use the photos, and again, I'll let you know, is when I was out showing a house with a buyer, and they said, well, what do you think about this? Or is this a big repair item? I'm not a repair person, so I would take a note in here. And there it is. There we go. They just changed it, merged it. So hopefully everybody just saw where I found it. They used to have different icons, and it used to be individual microphone. Now they're just doing it all under the paper clip, so depending on what version you're on. So here is the camera. So we'll be able to finish this. And I take a photo of the washer dryer, washer dryer. And then I get to use it. And now it's in the note. So did everybody see what I just did? I'm gonna pause it for just a second. I want to make sure you guys saw what I did. So how I attached the photo in there. Now, washer, dryer, those type of things, anything that maybe you need to ask the listing agent and you're not maybe being very clear. Another way I've used this on the is asking for my clients. So let me close this one. And my clients asked me, Amy, how much do you think to tear up this deck and put hardwood floors in and fix that big hole in the wall? Well, again, I'm not a contractor, so I would say questions, country meadow, list of repairs. And so I would type them out to my project manager that gets me all the bids, Dean, help on these. And here's what's also cool. When you go up to the attach button, I will do audio. And I would say, hey, Dean, I want you to look at the photo of where the looks like the squirrel, went through the under eave soffit vent. Can you get me a price on that? And then I would then take a photo of it. And I'm going to, again, take a photo and then use it. So then straight from there, I can quickly email it out. I don't have to worry about later remembering to send it out. So there's just different ways that I've used that. But the washer and dryer, anytime I'm asking for now that I'm asking for non-realty items on a property, it has been the bane of my existence this summer with dealing with buyers and with some of my agents. So I'm now telling every agent is take photos of those because I've had twice issues with them. So just ideas for you guys there on that. So now here's questions at all. Did you guys see what I did with the photo and the audio? And the cool thing on the audio, just FYI, is when you email it, all they have to do is click on it or tap on it and they will hear the audio. So that's kind of nice. And it's nice when you're trying to explain something. Here's the way I've used this Evernote with buyers. So I do a lot of things virtually. So I'm going to give you a quick tip. I have a buyer that saw a house on an open house. She called me and said, it's open today. Will you call the listing agent? And I called the agent that was going to be attending the open house. I said, just FYI, my client's going to come by. I just want to make you aware of that. I don't have a showing agent available. And the listing agent was a friend of mine. She's like, no big deal. Bring me an offer. Ha, ha, ha. Typical thing we always say. Well, my client, we wrote an offer and we did the whole deal that day. The next day I was back in town and she emailed me a whole laundry list of questions about the property. And now she was an engineer, so that's just how engineers are. So I couldn't remember everything that she was asking me. So let's see if I've got it. Here's her. Okay. And here's her email. And I just copied and pasted it. So when I got there, all I did was responded back on Evernote and then emailed it back to her. So you can see there was a lot of things that she was asking me about. There's one thing that's on here, and would you like me to tell you an app to know what kind of paint color it is? So she was asking me what paint color. So there's an app that I use. It's called Color Snap, and it's by Sherwin-Williams. Benjamin Moore has one as well. So I use, in my area, Sherwin-Williams is pretty popular, so I tend to do that. So this gives you an idea of different ways you can use Evernote. So I didn't have to go back through an email. I could just do it right then and there, and it was a documentation purpose as well. I'm finding a lot of clients aren't just reading their emails as much lately. So that's another idea for you guys. out there. All right, here's another way that you could use Evernote. So I prefer. So let's say, Jane, I'm going to pick on you for just a second. Jane, you and I are doing a deal together, and you call me and counter back on from your sellers. Well, I'm going to do a follow up in an email format for you to verify, because I prefer not to negotiate back and forth by phone without a follow up email, because I find some things get lost in translation. So I just want to make sure. So what I do is I would hang up the phone with you, Jane. I would email you out to make sure I understood. I would copy that and put it into Evernote. So I use Evernote as my counters back and forth. So things of, or like before we even make an offer, here's an idea for you. We go to make an offer. So let's say we want to make an offer on a property for a buyer. We're just now going to, let's go back to Anna. She wants to make an offer. So what are the typical things when you're on the phone with your buyer asking, hey, okay, legal names, possession date. And all this is the recap of the highlights of the contract. You know a lot of it, but you're just now putting it into one piece as you're writing the contract. Exclusions, closing cost, title company preference. And so again, going on and on kind of thing. So I would be typing all this up while I was on the phone talking to the client, or if they emailed me, I would just copy and paste it. I would have wrote the offer up, and then I just use this note continually. So when I get a counter back from the listing agent, I'm still just adding on to the top of this note. So that way, when the next one comes in, I just add on to it and just, add on. Here we go. And so that way I can see seller, counter, and then I can just have a running list. So what I personally found is I was getting so frustrated that I was back and forth countering with agents by text or phone calls, some email, and they would never address some of the other points. So it was always down to like price and closing date. Well, we would think we had a deal, and then I'd go, well, what about that? And because I was trying to go back through all these massive amounts of emails that were flying back and forth. So by doing it this way, it kind of creates my own checklist to make sure in the negotiating, I don't miss something that was important to my buyer, and I don't miss something that I should have called the listing agent out on to get clarification on. So that's something as an idea for you guys as well. So give you that idea. Here's another thought for you. When I go under contract with a buyer, I have those templates set up, but I also use, I need to send out reminders. Depending on what kind of system you use for your transaction platform, some of you may want to do it old school way. Some need to kind of tailor it to your client base. My client base does a lot of texting. So I have these FAQs in working with buyers templates. So the utility information, all of that. So every time I get a new client, I go into Evernote, I go into my little templates, and I copy them. And most of my clients, I said, like to text. So I use an app called Appy SMS, and it will schedule them to receive it. So if I need to remind them to the list of inspectors to call, I just go into Evernote, copy that, go into the Appy SMS app and paste it, and then schedule it to go out. Also, Appy SMS has scheduled templates in there as well. But I like to keep it in Evernote, and this is the only reason why I like to keep it in Evernote is so I can have it for if a client needs it for me to email to them versus just text. So I keep all my templates for that type of answers in Evernote. So did you guys hear what I was saying about time management? Did that give you guys some ideas? Here's another idea. Jane, you're on Outlook. So let's say you're working with a buyer and you've got to remind them to set up the list of inspections. In Outlook, you can do what's called delayed delivery. And so you could set up that to go out, 2 days from now. You could set it up there from your Evernote templates in Outlook to remind them to turn their utilities on. And here's a list of utilities. Julie, your Gmail, and Kim, your Gmail. So yours, you can set up in Gmail, but what you have to do on Gmail is you set up a task to remind you to send it out. So it just sits in the draft folder. So those are some ideas for you guys, different ways of just think of Evernote as that little spiral notebook that you're always flipping through. Now the cool thing is it's on steroids. When I do an advanced class on this, I'll show you other things that I use Evernote for and some of their add-on products. And I'm hoping to get to the Evernote app developer, one of my developer friends, on the webinar with me, because I think it would be really beneficial for you guys. All right. We're wrapping up. So give me any questions that you have. Oh, okay. Jane asked a really good question. What do I do when I'm in areas with slow wireless? All right, couple of options. Remember I told you I made the comment is I always will open up Evernote and make sure it syncs before I leave the house. That is one of the reasons why. When I do this mobile agent class of how I use Dropbox differently, I go heavily into that as well. But here's another option, and it may not fit everybody's pocketbook, but I have AT&T cell data on my iPhone and my iPad. I have a Verizon MiFi, so that way, if AT&T I'm not in a good area with AT&T, then I can go on to my MiFi Verizon, and normally in my area of town that I work, Verizon and AT&T are the carriers that have the best signal strength. So I tend to use those. But you could do the same thing. That's an idea. But by having Evernote synced before I leave, Evernote does not have to be on a wireless service. So did that help you, Jane? And I'm going to be doing a class that's called Agent on the Go. And it's a revision of my Ultimate Mobile Agent. So what I'm going to do is just hands-on breakdown, working with a buyer step by step. And it's going to be very slow, very methodical. And it's going to be like 2 sessions of how I incorporate all of these apps into one, working part. So did that answer though, Jane? Perfect. Any other questions? So kind of look for those webinars if you're wanting to, maybe you work more with buyers, maybe you work more with sellers. I have a lot of seller ideas for you. If you're a trainer or a broker owner, talk to me individually or email me or Facebook me, and I will let you know some ideas that when I'm having webinars for those. But amyoutloud.com/events is where I'll be putting all my future webinars that I'll be putting out. So I'm hoping maybe you guys got some ideas out of this. All right. Oh, okay. So no, Julie, this is a really, really good question. Let's wrap it up with this question. This is really good. So Julie says, why Outlook over Gmail? And she said she switched to Gmail because the email would be syncing on all devices. Okay, so you're not wrong. I'm not wrong. Nobody's wrong or right. I have what's called an Outlook Exchange server. I pay $100 a year for it. And I'm saying that, and it's an Outlook Exchange. I have it hosted through GoDaddy. And I use it because there's other functionality, and I like Outlook. Gmail was not around when I became an Outlook user. So I got used to the functionality of Outlook, and I like it. Because I'm an Exchange server, no matter what I do on my PC, my Mac, my iPad, or my iPhone, all of my email is synced, all my calendars are synced. And for me, because I'm a heavy Outlook user, if I get a new computer, I just download Outlook, put in the settings, and lo and behold, everything comes from the cloud down. So I don't have to worry about backing up my email. Gmail is a cloud-based service. Gmail just was not as robust when I got kind of hooked on Outlook. So Gmail is great. There's a lot of awesome tools in Gmail. So I think you just kind of need to find, truthfully, I'm a big believer in an app or any software. If it's not aesthetically pleasing to me, it can be as functional as anything. But if it doesn't make sense to my brain, it's hard for me. So Gmail, with the way they stack their emails, I always just struggled with that, and but they are a very, very robust product. So I wouldn't say go away from it, Julie, if you're comfortable with it. So maybe that helps. But if that's the only reason why you switched, there was another option. I did. Yeah, yeah. I hate, and I can't. I just can't. I couldn't live with the stacking, Julie. So I just went away from it. Next, on Friday, I'm going to do one working with Evernote with sellers. So I'll break it down with sellers. If this is a little too much for you, I will be redoing an Evernote fundamentals webinar. So I'll be looking at my schedule. So if you want me to go very slow and methodical, that is definitely the class for you guys. So I hope to see you on one of the other webinars, and thank you so much for coming. I will be sending you this recording. It takes sometimes an hour or so to convert, and I will send you the link so you can review it at your leisure. You can email me or you can Facebook message me. I try to always answer questions. And please go home and get some of those FAQs started so that at least you've walked away doing one thing from a webinar. So that's what I really want. And I'm going to, make sure that y'all all following up with that. So let me know if you have questions, and any other questions before we hang up. Awesome. Thank you so much for attending. I had a lot of fun with you guys. And hopefully I see you on some future webinars. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.